Welcome to the 49ers Camelot Show. We're talking 49ers training camp. Who's hot, who's not. They've been in camp for still less than a week. And so just want to, as we got through the weekend, through last week, through the weekend, wanted to jump in here and talk a little bit about what we're seeing in training camp so far. If you haven't yet subscribed to the 49ers Camelot Show, please do that. If you're watching on YouTube or if you're listening somewhere else, please rate, review, follow us so that you can know whenever we're live and whenever we put out new videos and things like that. Love your support. Appreciate it so much. So let's get into this. This isn't going to be a very long podcast, but because I just want to hit some highlights from what we've seen so far. So we're doing a who's hot and who's not. So basically it's an arrow up, arrow down. And I don't have a whole lot of arrow down, but I'm going to start with the arrow up, with the ones that are hot, the ones that we're hearing good things about. So the first is Frank Gore. Now, I realize he's not with the 49ers anymore. He's retired. But just a couple of days ago, the 49ers hired Frank Gore. They signed him to be in the front office. He's in an advisory role. And so that's really exciting. Really cool to have Frank Gore back with the 49ers. He belongs with the 49ers. And so I think that there just were times over the course of, I would say, especially in the Mike Nolan, Mike Singletary days, that it seemed like some of the 49ers of old, some of the legends, weren't really welcomed back. I don't know if that's the case or if they just didn't want to come back, but it's good to see some of the legends coming back. And, there are guys like Keena Turner who works for the 49ers, and Guy McIntyre works for the 49ers. And I'm sure there's others that I am going blank on, but it's nice to have Frank Gore back. This is where he belongs. He belongs with the 49ers. And so Frank's got a really good head and a really good eye for NFL talent. And so I think that this is going to be a positive thing. And so it'll be interesting. I know that I think that John Lynch said on Sunday that Gore's going to be going on some scouting trips and things like that. So great to have Frank Gore back with the 49ers. So the next on the arrow up is Brandon Ayuk. And he's probably the most arrow up 49er right now. In fact, Matt Barrows posted a tweet. It was something, I should have written this down. It was something like best players in 49ers training camp so far, and 4 of the 5 were Brandon Ayuk. The other one was Jake Moody, I think. And so it just goes to show you how impressive Brandon Ayuk has been in training camp. Nobody has been able to cover him. Barrows wrote that Brandon Ayuk is uncoverable when he's in the slot. So he's lined up all over the place, and that he's just been uncoverable wherever he's been. John Chapman posted or he tweeted that Brandon Ayuk scored 3 touchdowns in about 7 snaps during team red zone today. That's crazy. This guy is so talented. He's so smooth. He runs great routes. He's quick. And I think that he's going to give defensive backs a handful this year. Defensive coordinators may have bad dreams about Brandon Ayuk, because I think that he's really going to break out this season. The next on the arrow up is Jordan Mason. Jordan Mason, the second-year running back. John Chapman tweeted, Jordan Mason looks worlds ahead of all other 49er running backs. Christian McCaffrey not included because he didn't practice on Sunday. But John Chapman saying that Mason looks better than all the others, looks better than Ty Davis-Price, looks better than Elijah Mitchell. The only concern for me is that he's fumbled twice in training camp already. And last year as a rookie, he didn't fumble even once. And so that's a little concerning, but maybe since the pads aren't on yet, maybe he's just not holding on to the ball as tightly as he normally does. Let's hope that's the case, because we don't need any 49ers running backs fumbling. Next on the list, speaking of not fumbling, is Elijah Mitchell. Elijah Mitchell, of course, is going into his 3rd season. He still has not fumbled in an NFL game, which is crazy impressive. But Elijah Mitchell's looked good so far. He's looked good as a runner. He's looked good as a receiver. And that's a positive development because the 49ers haven't used him as much in that way. So hopefully the way that Kyle Shanahan used Christian McCaffrey last year is going to change some of how he uses the other running backs, and he'll use Elijah Mitchell or Jordan Mason or Ty Davis Price in the running game or in the passing game. I think that would be a huge positive development so that when McCaffrey does come out, you don't really change anything. You still can use your running backs in that passing game. But the biggest positive with Elijah Mitchell is that he's healthy right now. So he struggled last year, missed a lot of games. And so it's good to see him healthy. Hopefully he can stay that way all season. Next arrow up is Ty Davis Price. So far, he's looked more decisive. He's looked really good. I mean, he's had his moments where he's still been a little indecisive and maybe put the ball on the ground. But for the most part, he's looked really good. Kyle Shanahan said on Sunday that Ty Davis Price has taken a huge jump from last year. And that's what you'd expect. I mean, as a rookie, he's going to be overwhelmed. And so good to see that going into his second season that things are starting to click and he's starting to really look a lot better. Next one on the arrow up is Drake Jackson. Drake Jackson's looked good rushing the passer. He looks good physically. Looks like he's in really good shape. Brad Graham tweeted out that Drake Jackson just went step for step with Elijah Mitchell on a wheel route down the left side. So, I mean, not only is he getting after the passer, but now he's guarding Elijah Mitchell, who might be the fastest running back on the team. I don't know if he's faster than McCaffrey, but I mean, Elijah Mitchell can move. And so for Drake Jackson to be able to run step for step with Elijah Mitchell is pretty impressive. So good reports about Drake Jackson. And I've said this in a few other podcasts and in some mailbags that Drake Jackson is the one that the 49ers need to step up, maybe more than anybody, because they need that pass rush opposite of Nick Bosa. And so far, there's good reports with Drake Jackson. Now, the pads come on in this practice on Monday. So by the time you hear this, they will either be getting ready to practice or will have already practiced, or maybe they're in session right now. But I'm going to be interested to see what Drake Jackson looks like once the pads come on and those offensive linemen can actually throw people around like they normally do. Is Drake Jackson going to still going to look as good as he's looking right now? That's going to be fun to watch. Next one on the arrow up list is Jake Moody. And Jake Moody was one of when Matt Barrows did his top 5, and all four of the 5 were Brandon Ayuk. The other one was Jake Moody. So I think he's missed 1 or 2 kicks, but by and large, he's been really good. He's kicked some long ones. And so this is exactly how you're wanting your rookie kicker to look at this point. Now the big test is obviously going to be once there's a rush, once they get into games, that's going to be the big test. So hopefully he can continue to do that. Here's some others who have heard good things about Samuel Womack. Sounds like he looks really good. And so that's great, because if Diamador Lenore doesn't hold up like we're hoping that he does, like he came on at the end of last season, struggled a little bit during the season once Emmanuel Mosley went down. But as the season went on, Lenore got better and better and was really good in the playoffs. And so if he doesn't take a step forward, if he doesn't Ambry Thomas and doesn't progress like we hope, then Samuel Womack could be that guy, unless they're thinking that he might be a nickel guy. But I think they like him on the outside. So at least that's the vibe that I get. So others, the rookie linebackers, D. Winters and Jalen Graham, hearing good things about them. So apparently they're looking like you want them to look. Matt Barrows talked about Jalen Graham and how Graham is actually playing a lot of middle linebacker, which Barrow said that rookies don't normally do. I mean, you have some like Fred Warner or Patrick Willis who come in and they just immediately are smart enough to get that middle linebacker. But he said usually they work them in on some of the other linebacker spots, and then eventually, like in their second year, move them. Because they'll move them all to all three positions. And so what Barrows said is that normally they'll start them off on the other two positions during their rookie season throughout training camp, and then in their second season move them into the middle. But Jalen Graham is already playing in the middle, and that shows you how well adapted he is and how sharp he is, and that he's catching on quickly. So that's a really positive thing, I think, for Jalen Graham. Let's see who else has looked good. Undrafted free agent rookie cornerback Deshaun Jameson. Hearing good things about him, that he's broken up a lot of passes, and so I keep seeing his name. So hopefully he's somebody that ends up sticking. Undrafted free agent rookie Kalan Laborn. His last name looks like Laborn or Laborn or however you want to say it, but I believe that I saw that the pronunciation is Laborn. So if that's, I hope that that's right. But Larry Krueger wrote about him and said that he's a legit NFL running back with power and speed. Super exciting. So Kalan Laborn sounds like he might be a diamond in the rough, that they just how Kyle Shanahan always seems to, and his dad was the same way, and the running backs coach, that the way that they work together, they're always finding these great running backs, even undrafted ones. So that's a really a cool development. And then Javon Kinlaw, hearing good things, that he looks really good, that he's healthy, and that he's doing really well. So there's our arrow up, our who's hot so far in training camp. Now, again, Monday, the pads come on. And so at that point, we're going to start seeing really who's hot and who's not. And so that's when, like this first week of practice is not near as intense as it's about to get once the pads come on. So it's going to be fun to see. So let's get to the who's not, the arrow down players so far in training camp. And I'm starting off with Nick Bosa. And it's probably the only time that Nick Bosa will ever be on a who's not list, or a arrow down, however you want to say it. And the only reason that I put him on here is because he hasn't shown up yet. He's still holding out. Kyle Shanahan said on Sunday, I haven't heard anything, so no updates there. Still, there's nothing to worry about, nothing to be concerned over. It's going to get worked out. I mean, with Monday being the day that they start with their pads, it's possible that by the time you've listened to this, that they've already worked out the extension and he's on his way to camp or he's in camp. So I'm not going to sweat this. If we get a couple of weeks down the road, then I'm going to sweat it a little bit, but only because I want him to be in game shape. And at this point, like if he comes in late, I mean, we know he's going to come in. Bosa's always going to come in really healthy and really well in shape. It's just a matter of, are you in game shape or not? And so that's the only concern that I have. I don't have any concern about Nick Bosa being ready to play as far as making an impact. And I don't have any worries about them not being able to work out an extension where he ends up going somewhere else. I mean, that's not going to happen. So don't sweat that. So, but I only put Nick Bosa on this list because he's still not here. So that's the only reason why. Next on the arrow down list is all of the quarterbacks. And I'm not really going to talk about Brandon Allen because at this point, he's kind of irrelevant. Now, if there's an injury or if the 49ers trade one of these backup quarterbacks, then Brandon Allen's going to immediately become relevant. But right now, he's really not, so I'm not going to talk about him that much. But Brock Purdy looked rusty in his practices. But, hey, I mean, that's to be expected. He's been out. He's been rehabbing for months. And so, of course, he looked rusty. I mean, if he would have come in and looked like Joe Montana, then I mean, that would have been nuts. I didn't expect that at all. So, for those that are criticizing Brock Purdy and saying that this proves that he's not the guy, come on. I mean, he's just recovering from this injury. So yeah, I'm not worried about that. Here's the thing with him right now, though. He didn't practice on Sunday. This was his second day off because Kyle Shanahan said that right now Brock Purdy is 2 on, 2 off. So he's practicing 2 days and then he's off 2 days. But in a week, I think Shanahan said specifically in 6 days that Purdy would move to 2 on, 1 off. So that's progress, and that's how they're slowly progressing him through this. So, but this is a quarterback who, by and large, is really a pretty accurate quarterback. So the fact that he's been inaccurate so far, I'm not that concerned about. I think that once he really gets in the swing of this and starts practicing more, some of that rust is going to shake off and he's going to look better. In fact, he looked better on his second practice than he did on his first. So you would expect him to make some progress that way. Then Trey Lance. Lance has been up and down, which is kind of to be expected, partly because he's not getting the kind of reps that Trey Lance needs to get. I mean, they drafted him as a project and he hasn't played much. I mean, we all know that, it's well documented, and he still isn't getting a whole lot of like right now he's splitting first team reps with Sam Darnold on those days that Brock Purdy's not there. And on the days that Purdy is there, then Lance and Darnold are splitting second team reps. So it's like he's not getting enough reps, and I don't know how to fix that, but that's one of the reasons why he's been up and down. So he'll make some great throws, and then he'll follow those great throws with some bad throws, and so don't get down on him. And also wouldn't get too excited about him when he does something really great. But on Sunday, he made some plays with his arm, made some plays with his legs, and that's the kind of quarterback that we all believed we were getting. So that's good news. But just, it's going to be interesting to see how this works out. Is Brock Purdy going to be healthy? Is he going to be able to progress? Is Sam Darnold going to beat out Trey Lance for the number 2 quarterback spot? If that happens, how are they going to trade Trey Lance? Who knows? I'll be glad when it's all over and we just know. But for now, Lance has been up and down. And so Sam Darnold, he's been up and down as well. Some people say that Lance has looked better. Some people say that Sam Darnold has looked better. I've probably heard more people say Sam Darnold has looked better so far. And I'm a Trey Lance guy, so I'm not anti-Darnold. I just don't believe that he's the guy that you want leading your team. So nothing against him. I'm more of a Trey Lance guy because I still believe in Lance. But so far, it sounds like Darnold may be outplaying Lance, but it's way too early to tell. Monday, when the pads come on, that's when we're going to start finding out more. So here's what Matt Barrows said about Sam Darnold. He said Darnold looked better than Lance on Sunday. So there's one person saying it. Sounds like Darnold had a good practice, had some really good throws, hit Ayuk, hit Deebo Samuel. In fact, Eric Crocker tweeted out, Sam Darnold throws a dig to Brandon Ayuk. Ayuk catches it in stride for what would be a 60-yard touchdown. Sheesh. Sam and Ayuk are cooking. And then he followed that with another tweet. Sam Darnold follows that up with a deep dig completion to Deebo Samuel. Looked like the same route. So that's good. I mean, we want Sam Darnold to really succeed and to look good because, I mean, we still don't know what we have in Trey Lance. Still don't know what we have in Brock Purdy. And of course, we don't really know what we have in Sam Darnold other than what we've seen, which hasn't been good. So pads come on Monday. By the time you're hearing this, maybe they're already on, maybe they're already practicing. Either way, keep following us. You can find me on Twitter at 49ers Camelot. I'm not at the practices, but I'm paying close attention to what's going on so that I can pass on that news. So if you're not following anybody who's there, then keep following